They can hear me. They can hear y'all. I think.
And
Yep, they can hear y'all.
wait,
We are
hold on.
live.
And there we go. Now Discord's picking up. Welcome to what? Start over. Ryan, stop that. You messed me up.
Okay,
Stop making that
start
face.
over.
What?
And welcome to episode 152 of the HAC JAC Show. I am the genuinely beautiful and moronic hack.
And I am the. Damn, you took the beautiful thing again. I only had it as a rental. The Fun Master Jack. Let's go with that for now. I didn't think about anything.
And we have a guest for this evening because I have a special theme for tonight, as you may have gathered from the thumbnail. But before we go into the theme, our guest. You may know if you're familiar with this channel, but of course, anyone new here, please, Raendzel, a former introduction.
Oh, hi. I've never done an introduction before.
At least say your name at least.
I'm Raendzel. I ramble about useless nonsense for most.
All right, I'll do the intro for him. This
Fantastic.
is my good friend Raendzel, long friend and frequent guest of the channel, most frequently on my own personal streams. When I did this more often, and he has joined us here today because we have a special theme episode in honor. I see Tieto's comment. I will get to that real quick. In honor.
No.
In honor of the closely release of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, what probably would be the final Zelda game on the Switch, more than likely. We are here to talk all things Zelda, from our personal experiences with the series and all the different individual games from it, and as well of any memories we have with this very beloved and historic franchise. And from the title of the stream, it is not a download code, as Ghetto was saying. You're not gonna get any free thing or whatever. All I ask is just you look at the thumbnail, look at the title, and you understand what I'm trying to do here. So because of the specialty episode, I wanted to bring some other people in that was not just Jack and I. And so Raendzel came in and try to look for others, but unfortunately, I don't know of any other people who are really into Zelda, and I mean really into Zelda. Really into Zelda. Ryan,
Okay.
you're really into Zelda, right?
Or when I was younger, but I have a good
You're
bit
still-
of knowledge.
You're still young. Give yourself some credit.
I'm young, but I said younger, so.
So that was what, yesterday?
Yes, exactly.
So that's what you have. So that was this special episode, and as I stated before we get live, one thing also I wanted to do with this Zelda theme episode was that I recently watched an entire full, surprisingly not something that's still relevant, Let's Play, but not like individual videos. It's like just the entire. What are those videos where you just the entire game you see playthrough from beginning to end?
With no commentary?
No, yeah, commentary, but but still the entire thing. So I guess the full playthrough of it.
Walkthrough? Or walkthrough, playthrough.
It was more of a playthrough than a walkthrough, but it was a full playthrough of a big YouTuber within the fighting game community, Maximilian Dude, who, despite a man who is over 40 years old, never played the original Zelda game. So It was a treat to see him play the very first game for the first time. And he actually had some he had some special rules in his live streams of the games. I only saw the edited version, so I didn't get to see the actual full streams or the 2 streams he did play in the game. But pretty much the best way he can replicate the experience of playing that game back in what the game came out in 1984, I want to say 84, 83, 1983. I want to say could be 84. Was that he, number one, his chat couldn't help him. And if they actually try to help him, they actually would get timeout. And if they keep breaking the rules, they would be like temporarily banned from watching his live streams. So he really made sure do not help him. If he needed help, he can only call 3 people within each stream, and he could look at like this old Nintendo guide from that era for about 5 minutes to look up any information. And after that, he couldn't look it up. The only available information he can have on hand was just the game's original instruction booklet. So he tried his best to replicate that experience, and surprisingly, he beat the game. But I could definitely tell his frustrations because, man, oh man, poor translations can really, or at least poor or very loose translations can make for a very frustrating experience.
Yeah,
But
they really can.
but it was fun. It was fun to watch and fun of him to discover things and to figure things out. And so it reminded me of when I first got into Zelda. So I think we're going to start off here with everyone's initial experience with the Legend of Zelda, whether how you were exposed to the series and how you were first exposed to it, and when was your first proper game. And so, before we all of us go into the stories, I'm looking at the chat here. Welcome, Marty. Ghetto says that because it's true. I've only played Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Four Swords, Minish Cap, in the first 2 games. I can't get into the series. Well, Ghetto, you can clearly see in the server. If you got something to say, you're more than welcome to join in, unless you still can't talk. So you're more than welcome to join in, Ghetto. It's just you don't talk about Zelda enough, so I assume you're not a big fan. Just like
Damn.
you don't watch a lot of popular movies, so I assume.
Don't watch
And
popular movies. Never. do.
Exactly. If you watch popular movies, it's because you're boring, like people who
Yeah.
watch The Office.
Yeah, you've got no intrigue, no edge.
No passion, no passion fruit.
Yeah.
And also, hello, Johnny. He says, Jackie boy, roll the CU graduation quest is just done.
Gotcha.
I'm guessing, Jack, you know what exactly he's talking about.
Let me do it real quick.
Muchas gracias, afición. Este para vosotros.
There we go. I don't know if you guys can hear it because I keep forgetting to mess it with Discord.
It cut off a bit, but I got the gist of it. All right. So let's go ahead, and actually, because Ryan's our guest, you get to go first, and and try to you get to go first, Ryan, and try to get your thoughts together. So let's just focus on how were you first exposed to Zelda?
The Wii, actually, the Wii Virtual Console, or I forget what they called it exactly. So my dad's girlfriend at the time was living with us, and she had a Wii that she brought, and they ended up buying the first Zelda game on that, and my dad played the crap out of it, and would talk to me about it since he was into it when he was younger, and so that was really my first experience, and I then went on to YouTube and just found a bunch of videos on it. Specifically, I watched a lot of the Runaway guys on their individual channels, just let's playing like Ocarina of Time and stuff. My first Zelda game I played wasn't actually the first one. It was Phantom Hourglass.
No, now was that on the DS proper, or was through other
the
means?
DS, the DS proper.
Now Phantom Hourglass is a very divisive game. So I guess as that being your first proper game, first off, based on what you can remember, did the touch controls bother you at all?
No, not really.
But since it was your first, you're pretty much so you didn't really being that it's your first, you didn't have that type of prior expectations. That's good.
No,
Did you have fun with it? If you can recall.
I did. Yeah, I wasn't especially good at it, but I got through most of the game. I never did beat it.
Did you end up trying out Spirit Tracks, or that just never came to be?
I played a bit of Spirit Tracks, but I had a hard time with the instrument, the flute. I couldn't time things right on the song, so I had to give up pretty quickly.
Gotcha. All right then. So we got someone who started off with the Zelda games. What was it? The late 2000s? Because Phantom
Yeah.
Hourglass came out in 2008. I want to say.
Yeah,
All
something
right.
like that.
And and hold on, I just saw something real quick. Ghetto says, "Well, you were correct. I'm not a big Zelda fan, but he is a fan of Ganondorf pornography."
Hell
I'm
yeah.
sure you are.
Yep. You know what? That's on brand for Ghetto. On brand. All right, Jack. Tell us, what was your first exposure to Zelda and the first and your first game with the series?
So for me, it was on the GameCube, and as soon as you think about that, you think it's Wind Waker, but it's not. We specifically had the collector's edition of the Zelda yeah, for the GameCube.
Oh, okay. I know. If I can, let's see, so I can remember what that was. Was that the one that came with Ocarina, Majora's Mask, and I think the NES and Zelda games and A Link to the Past? Was it that one?
Correct. I don't think it had Link to the Past, if I remember correctly.
Okay. I know definitely. I definitely remember it had the N64 games though.
It had the N64 games and the Zelda 1 and 2.
Ah,
But
okay.
the
Ooh,
other games
so
were promotional, which was like it had a Wind Waker copy of it. Like it was a demo of Wind Waker.
gotcha. Now, uh, now, and so that was your first exposure and the first Zelda game you played, correct?
From that one, technically, the first game I played was the Ocarina of Time.
And did that the original, or was that only the Master Quest version?
At that time, there was no Master Quest.
When did the Master Quest come in?
I think
Could've
that was
sworn.
just the DS remake.
Yeah.
No, because there was a Master Quest version on the GameCube.
Interesting.
Well, any case, so for Jack, little earlier than Ryan, but so your case is interesting because it was a GameCube Zelda game, but it was technically not a GameCube Zelda game. It was with Ocarina of Time, and I think there was an option to play Master Quest on that collector's disc, but I think you had to beat the original game first before you can play it. So we're gonna go on the assumption that is the original.
Well,
Yeah.
my brother had beaten the game on his save file, and I did not see any other extra button that said Master Mode or anything like that.
It could be that you may have to like go onto that completed save file, and then the game starts over with that. I think. Don't quote me, but nevertheless, it's Ocarina of Time. All right, and which actually, Jack, my story is very similar.
Mhm.
So my first exposure to Zelda was on the GameCube. However, wasn't with any Zelda game. My first exposure to Zelda was actually Super Smash Bros. Melee. Of course, with the three main Zelda characters in that game being Link, Zelda herself, and Ganondorf. So that was my first exposure to who these people were, and then from Melee, I was then exposed to Link more with not Zelda game, but with Soul Calibur 2, which funny enough, I was only aware of Soul Calibur 2 because at one of those martial arts daycare places that I used to go to when I was very young, someone brought in their Xbox and they had a copy of Soul Calibur 2. And of course, that version had Spawn. Now, which by the way, a little side tangent. Ryan, what's your hot take on Spawn?
My hot take on Spawn, it has gone to shit. It is trying too hard to be a 2000s series rather than embracing its 90s origins.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Now, back on track. So I see Soul Calibur 2 on the Xbox. I'm like, wow, that looks awesome, man. Keep in mind, I remember my dad looking at Soul Calibur 2 just in the opening intro, and he's thinking, man, games can't look better than this.
That's how I thought about Final Fantasy 13 too, back when that first came out.
So, and so then I learned that the game was also on the GameCube. And of course, asked my dad to get. I wanted it. I got it, and admittedly, I was kind of wanting Spawn, but of course, I didn't realize that it was to be an entirely different character and probably a better character for my age, with Link. And so then I learned more about Link through that game, and then I was like, "Huh, it's that guy from Smash Brothers." It wasn't until maybe a few years later that my uncle, so my dad's younger brother, he brought in a suspicious looking CD with written in Sharpie. You know the kind.
Mm-hmm.
And and I think he wanted to show something. He put that CD into my mom's laptop, which had a CD drive, and I didn't realize at the time, but my uncle essentially brought in a CD full of ROMs for the Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time and for Super Mario 64.
That is
So my
awesome.
first Zelda experience wasn't even on a genuine console. My first Zelda game wasn't on a genuine console. It was playing it. It was playing the bootleg version of it from this CD-ROM while using this janky PC controller.
That
Dang.
is beautiful.
He's
So-
not even a real Zelda fan.
Here's the kicker. Now here's the kicker. I've come to realize that the version of Ocarina of Time was playing was not the original. It was the Master Quest version,
Oh no.
which
That
meant
must
that
be
the game, which of course means that the game was harder than the original, and I did not get very far. I did
That's
not,
not.
and so my time with that version of the game was very brief. It wasn't until again a few years later that my proper, like actually on a Nintendo console Zelda game would actually be on my Nintendo Wii when I played for the very first time the Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. So that was when I actually got at the time the newest Zelda game was properly on a Nintendo console. But at the end of the day, my first experience playing a Zelda game was Ocarina of Time, which probably ran like crap if I ever try to run that specific ROM of the game that my uncle had. All right, so we got our origin stories all together. Jack and I is pretty similar, and Ryan, as always, because he's the youngest one, his came in a little bit later, not that much, but just a little bit later. Oh, Marty has a question though. He says, "Which Zelda is your favorite? The character, not the game." So this is actually the princess. So, I'll go with Jack. Do you actually have a favorite, or at least a version of the character that you like more than others?
Midna.
That's not Zelda.
I know, but you gotta cut me some slack here. Midna. I mean, whenever she goes to her true form.
Okay.
I know, but Marty asked. I already asked about.
But you know
princess.
Marty's gonna
Not the
accept
Twilight,
the answer.
not the Twilight Princess. The princess.
I know Marty's gonna accept the answer. He knows
All
I'll
right.
accept it.
All right, beat around the bush, will you? Okay, here, Ryan.
They're
here's
all
here's
mid. All Zeldas are mid.
That's because you're a mid. All right, Ryan. I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna put a twist
right.
into the same question. Instead of your favorite Zelda, what is your favorite Zelda design?
Favorite Zelda design? Oh shoot, that is a good question. Let me think on that for a second.
All right then. So I was thinking about that. I'll answer this question. So, if I had to pick my favorite Zelda as a character, yeah, I mean, as much I was making fun of Jack for calling Zelda mid, I mean, yeah, she doesn't have for the most part, especially in the early games, she doesn't really have much of a personality. It wasn't until after Twilight Princess, no, scratch it, Wind Waker, that Zelda really got personality. Personally, I'm not a fan of her as Tetra. I kind of find her annoying. Twilight Princess was a bit stoic, but was appropriate for the story they were telling. Honestly, Skyward Sword Zelda. Mostly because I actually like her design and actually do like they kind of gave her that kind of a big old schnoz. Have you ever noticed
The big
Skyward
old
Sword has
schnoz.
a big old schnoz, which I actually think looks well. And she's got the anime you know that hair that that
She's got
look
the
that comes
childhood
off the
friend vibe.
side.
Yes, yes, the
Yeah.
childhood friend vibe.
No, man. No, I said the hair that comes off the side,
Yeah,
almost like
the
long.
Hime cut, I think that's called.
Yeah.
I
So I
gotta
like
look
that they
it up.
gave her to that, and I guess the childhood friend thing, and made for at least at the time, make for like, oh wow, Link and Zelda actually have some sort of relationship with each other instead of, hey, you're that kid.
Oh, this
Or
haircut, the one with the bangs.
exactly she bangs. Oh, you know what? Ryan, I explains it because I like.
Yeah,
I think I just
that
figured it out.
explains everything.
The big schnoz, the bang. But yeah, so Skyward Sword Zelda, it would be my favorite design and version of the character. All right, Ryan. Yeah,
Alright, so my favorite design is probably going to be the Ocarina of Time design. It's
adult
just
or child or both?
both. They just have a really classic feel to them that I really enjoy.
Yeah, you know what? I could see that. It actually, in regards to her as a child, I actually do like that headdress she has.
Yeah,
Because that it actually fits in with a more medieval look, which as the games went on, Zelda was still look regal, but they don't have a lot of those medieval elements implemented into her design.
yeah. No, again, it's just classic. It's got some unique elements, especially the child design with the little hat thing. I know a lot
Now,
of people really like the Breath of the Wild design, but I don't. It's really dumb.
really,
Yeah.
how what makes you say that? Already with the hot takes. Why do you think the Zelda design for Breath of the Wild is dumb?
It's just kind of plain. Well, plain's not the right word. How best to describe this?
Do you think her outfit's pretty plain?
The outfit itself isn't plain, but she looks kind of normal. Like it's just trying to fit into the tomboyish vibe of the character.
You know what? Okay, I think I may understand what you're coming from. Jack, do you think you know what Ryan's coming from?
Not really. I do enjoy the. I think Breath of the Wild, the one with the shorter hair.
That's to be the newest one, the Tears of the Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do enjoy that type of haircut though.
Now, let's see. Now, as far as your comment, Ryan, as her as looking a bit more plain and normal, do you think it's because? Do you think it's because we just see her in most of the cutscenes in that game? We see her most in a casual outfit, and as far as something more regal, she just gets like a white gown.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of it. I'm also
Actually,
not the biggest fan of her hairstyle.
eh.
It,
I mean, you already know what I already said. What my favorite, what design I like. So I was, I actually, you know what, I kind of with you in that it didn't leave much to me.
Mhm.
If anything, if anyone's comment about that Zelda, is I think the only thing that people generally comment about design is just her ass. It's funny, but also kind of sad a little bit.
Yeah, it's just not an impactful design. You could see it in most or similar designs in most JRPGs.
Marty also asked favorite Ganondorf. So I'm gonna switch this one in that you can choose either Ganon or Ganondorf. Ganondorf is fine. His Ocarina design is fine. I love his Twilight Princess design. It was so good. They had to use it twice for Smash.
Yeah.
But honestly, I like Pig Ganon. But but at least from the like how he's originally interpreted in the older games,
Mhm.
because it's I, I like that I like Ganon to be kind of be more monstrous, but there has to be a good in between. It had to be Demise. from Skyward Sword.
Eyes is pretty cool looking.
Isn't
yes, he
technically
was.
Demise just its own entity and Ganon's a reincarnation?
Yeah.
Yeah, just like how each Link is a reincarnation of the hero,
Well,
and Zelda's each reincarnation of the princess.
like the thing is that it's
Or actually, no, reincarnation of Hylia. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the goddess.
well, the thing is that it's like to me, I find it a little bit more different in general because Demise was its own thing, and Ganon with Ganondorf is not really the same.
But
I
it's
don't know. It's hard to describe it for myself.
but Demise still carries the same design elements from Ganondorf and Ganon.
See, this is why we're discussing this.
Yeah.
I mean, you could definitely argue he's his own character, but to say that he is not a variant of Ganon, that's kind of
Well,
I
mean, lore-wise,
to be
it's
fair,
irrefutable,
it's more
but
like Ganon's a variant of Demise, not the other way around.
yeah,
true lore wise, but if you're going by the games of release, Demise is a variant of the Ganon art of how they traditionally made Ganondorf. But pretty much what they decided to go with. Okay, if we're gonna make this Ganon that's more of I guess if he's supposed to be either the first or something that's a bit more ancient, then to design him in that way, but he still carries the elements that are recognizable as Ganon.
Gotcha. I think I gotcha. I don't know. I don't gotcha. I don't under. I gotta look at these. I gotta look at these YouTube videos with them
Now what
video
you gotta do
documentaries.
is you gotta drop 30 bones and get the art book.
Yeah.
Get the Hyrule Astoria. Get it straight from the page. Which actually I own the Hyrule Astoria. I got it at Disney Epcot. Overpriced as heck,
I'm sure
but
it was.
I got it. And I got to see I got to see that infamous Zelda timeline for the like right there in hand and go, "Yep, I'm sure this made sense to Miyamoto when he was asked about this."
Yeah.
Let's see. Marty says Tears of the Kingdom with Daddy Dorth. Yeah, he has a more muscular build, and he's stealing Akuma's hairstyle from Street Fighter V.
I actually do really enjoy that that design, mostly because of that whole Akuma hairstyle and like the half I don't even know. I guess it's called just a robe itself.
Oh yeah, he has that like the robe with the single sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good look. It's a very good look. You know, I would say though, I think his Wind Waker design is actually his worst one.
You don't like the Wind Waker design?
He-
That one's awesome.
I like his Wind Waker design, but it does
He
look
looks-
a little bit
he looks-
bulky.
He's a bit too bulky for my taste.
Okay, fair.
You're not gonna try to defend that.
Well, it's an interesting shape that doesn't appeal to a lot of people. It doesn't really show off the musculature of the character like a lot of the other designs do. It just sort of looks like an old evil man. So I understand
That's
it.
true. Which that probably would have been better for someone like Giraheim or like the many wizards that work for Ganon throughout the games.
Yeah.
Or not Giraheim. Giraheim's that weird flamboyant servant of Demise. I'm trying to think who's that. I'm trying to think who's the wizard that sometimes pops
Vati.
up in the game. Vati, that's the one. Now, all right. So now here's the next question. What is actually the first Zelda game that you actually beaten? Like from start to finish, you beat in the game, and what can you tell us from that experience of playing it? Ryan, go with you.
Link Between Worlds was actually the first one I beat. I had played a ton of games and just never really beaten them before that. But yeah, from my experiences of it was neat. It's honestly one of the easiest Zelda games I've ever played.
I can attest to that.
Yeah,
Which go ahead.
It's a very accessible entry point.
Although I remember a lot of people, because especially around this time, keep on, this was like 2011, 2012, I want to say. No, 2013? The game came out in 2013? Yeah, 2013.
Yeah,
Yeah,
about
because
that.
this is a few years after the 3DS launch. And I remember at the time, people, at least Zelda fans, as far as online Zelda fans, Skyward Sword put a lot of bad taste in people's mouths, and so it was already in the people like, "Oh, we're tired of the way 3D Zelda is. Go back to how it was in the like Link to the Past." And Nintendo did for the Link Between Worlds, and from I being in the game, I played it, and for me, it was like it was fine, it was good.
Yeah, it's a fun game.
I think
I've
that. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I've beaten it a handful of times, but I I'm not the biggest fan of Zelda games where you could just kind of do anything in whatever order you want. That's not really my thing. I like the more rigid storytelling structures of like Ocarina of Time and some of the later entries.
So then what? So then did you? Now when for Link Between Worlds, the because each Zelda game has its own big gimmick that makes it different, and
Hmm.
Between Worlds, its whole big thing was that because of that that rabbit dude, I forget his name, but because of that rabbit
Yeah.
dude, you could pretty much buy or rent your items for specific dungeons before you go. So pretty much all the essential Zelda items you can get off the bat before you can go to your first dungeon. What did you think of having that gimmick along with the fact that you have the do what a traverse where you can become part of the wall like an illustration and walk around corners that way and so forth?
Uh, Not the biggest fan of just renting or buying everything right away. It's certainly not harming the game in any way, but I think the single gimmick of getting onto the walls was much more interesting. The way they added that to the older level designs from well Link to the Past was really interesting and a lot of fun. And I'd like to see something similar in another game at some point, but at the same time, maybe that's a bit too much.
Do you think then that because of the way that the structure, the way people would get the items, that the game was probably to be toned down a bit because there was no conceivable, no realistic way to know what the player which items will get, so they kind of had to redesign the dungeons to where it's technically easier because it's meant to be where you can any of the items that you will get could solve the problem in some way,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
which is very different compared to the first Zelda, since there's actually some items if you do not have it, you will not beat the dungeon.
Yeah.
So I find that interesting. Jack, what is the first Zelda game that uh you beaten you beaten from beginning to end, and how was your experience?
If I remember correctly, and this is kind of like a hazy memory, it was A Link to the Past. I beat that one mostly
Now,
because
how,
I.
now how now
Mhm.
how did you play it?
It was through the Game Boy Advance SP. Yeah, it was the Game Boy Advance
Oh,
SP.
okay.
I had it like modified with the extended battery.
I gotcha. I think one of my childhood friends actually had that game, so that was also one of my earliest exposure to Zelda because he had that exact game that you're talking about. But continue.
But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the game. It had some elements of Ocarina, which was, I mean, for me as a child, it was that was good enough for me, even though it was a basic element of certain spots you can use the flute. I think it was a flute, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I also had a very funny notion where I'm like, what if I keep playing this flute? Can I ride that chocobo looking thing? The big bird.
Chocobo looking.
It was a big bird that was like a big red bird that looked like a chocobo, and me being like, oh, I can ride this like in Final Fantasy, and I tried my best to ride that thing, but eventually I gave up. But the gameplay itself was pretty fun. I rarely played any. That was actually the first 2D Zelda that I played. Sure, I did play the Zelda 1 and 2 through the collectors, but I didn't really enjoy them that well, mostly because you kind of have to know where you need to go.
And because of the archaic design, and with
Yeah.
Zelda 2, that game's brutally hard.
Yeah, so this one for me was actually the best when it came to a best introduction to the 2D Zelda.
Which actually it probably still is today, although for some reason, because I have played Link to the Past, and I do own it via the Wii's Virtual Console.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have to be perfectly honest, I have tried many times to play that game, and I don't know what it is. I can't bring myself to play it all the way through.
Yeah.
And I can't really describe why, because I if I'm to be honest, I think I kind of just lose interest.
That makes sense. Where do you normally like leave off?
Very early on, I think I would beat 2, maybe 3 dungeons, and then I don't see myself ever
So
going
you-
back to the game.
So you'd end up getting the Master Sword and just sort of lose
Ma-
interest.
Yeah, and I think I may have an idea of why, because it's because it's not being fair, because the Link to the Past is a well-made Zelda game, but to go into my experience playing the first Zelda game I ever beaten would be a Twilight Princess, and of course that kind of that colors your perspective of a bit, since with you guys, uh, despite playing two Zelda games from very different generations, at their core they're fundamentally similar games, where it's about exploration, using your items to solve puzzles, and you have a pretty bare bones story to get you motivated enough to go from dungeon to dungeon and get items and so forth. Nothing wrong with that at all. I think what made it hard for me to probably in the past was that because Twilight Princess was the first Zelda game I ever beaten, that gave me a lot of expectations what I wanted in a Zelda game. Were that necessarily not the visuals, but the fact that had to be a Zelda game that I had to be invested in the story. And A Link to the Past, as great as that game can be, is not great because of its story.
No,
It's a pretty.
it's
It's a
not
pretty.
yeah, it's not very story heavy. Twilight
No.
Princess definitely has
Yeah, Twilight
much
Princess
more
is.
story, and it pushes you forward a lot more rather than
Mhm,
just sort of leaving you to your own devices.
yeah. And admittedly, that beginning section is pretty not rough, but it is a drag, and especially with the goat herding.
Yeah.
It's like, why am I doing this? And that little mini game doesn't even become relevant later on. So really, so it that be, I'm not. So I will critiquing that beginning of the game is padding, but once you get into the wolf form and start into that first dungeon, all that of kind of dullness I was getting from the early parts of the game kind of went away, because now I'm like, okay, the game started. Here I go. And of course, from there, for people anyone familiar the with Twilight Princess, is definitely probably the more ambitious game story wise of any Zelda game. Is it the darkest? Um, Visually it is, but I don't know if it's actually dark. I think Breath of the Wild may beat that, considering the premise of just Breath of the Wild alone. I think that makes it darker than Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
But at the very least, Twilight Princess has uh it has that willingness to show a little bit of edge, at least enough edge that Nintendo will give to a mainline Zelda game, and 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 so because of that, that made it, at least initially, that made it a little bit difficult for me to get into the older 2D Zelda games, because of how much of a great experience I had with Twilight Princess. That they it really did not give me the correct mindset at the time to really give A Link to the Past a genuine try to play the game. And of course, any older Zelda games from than that. I will try it as a I will try it just to say I try it, but to actually play it, no. No. I, 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 I don't have the mental fortitude to do that. So here's the next question. Based on all your experiences of the Zelda games you played, whether you're beating or not, and anything that's Zelda adjacent, um, what is it about the Zelda games that for you personally that you like more than other series? So actually, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that question. What do you, in your opinion, what do the Zelda games do great that you find yourself playing these games that um that you find yourself playing these games that you think succeed better than other similar games out there, whether it's other fantasy games, other RPGs, or other adventure games that are out there? What is something about Zelda do you think makes it stand out, and why it's still going on to this day? Uh, Ryan, let's go with you.
Okay. It's very much refined its formula, which I find really appealing. It never really overdoes anything, especially when it comes to its puzzles. You get a very good sense of what it is you're supposed to be doing, and without it really giving you too much information to like make it too easy. And
Do you
of-
think because of that, that's why Skyward Sword is not a lot of people's favorites?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I will
And the
admit that
visuals.
if Twilight Princess beginning was a bit of a drag, Skyward Swords, oh my god. I
Yeah.
can only hope that the HD version improved that. I kind of doubt it though.
Um, I haven't played too much of the HD version, so I can't say anything.
But I definitely see what you mean. In regards uh that you like how the games are with each game. Something about it is refined, which
Yeah.
actually is pretty true. When you play the games in order of release, you do see kind of like how I guess to use a music metaphor of like, let's say there's an artist you like, and then you see how each the artist grows with each album that they release. Always doing so, they're always going to do something different, but at its core, there are improving of what made them good in the first place.
Yes, exactly.
Now, Jack, just to reiterate the question, what is an element of the Zelda games that you like over other games, and why do you think it's successful to this day?
Uh, let's see. So for me, I mean, thinking back, really, it's just I do enjoy the puzzles a lot, and that's I don't know about the current Zelda games, which is probably why my judgment will be a little bit skewed. So
Well, and let's be more specific. When you say current Zelda games, in your mind, what would be your example of a current Zelda game?
basically anything on the Switch. I haven't
So,
tried
oh,
Skyward Sword, but I have seen gameplay of it.
so really only Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I have to be specific because you gotta understand where everyone's coming from here. So excluding Breath of the in excluding Breath of the Wild, which did puzzles very interestingly, I would say. Uh, you like the puzzle elements, so go ahead and continue into that.
So I do like the whole puzzle element, especially with the. I've never really seen in many other games the use of items or like equipment as in depth for me when it comes to Zelda. Of course, this might people might say, "Oh, but what about this game? What about this game?" Well, I haven't played that game. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm
Not all of
sorry.
us is Yeah, not all of us have played everything except for Ryan. He at least said he's plays most of the Dragon Quest games. So if you ask him about that, he'll have an opinion.
I've played all of them. Well,
Oh,
all the
there you
main
go.
ones.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Because I'm sure he has such opinions on Dragon Quest builders too.
I barely played it. It's hard to get into.
Oh, go on, Jack.
And really, I mean, just that sudden, as a kid, specifically playing games like Ocarina, Majora's, and Twilight, getting that, just like being able to solve the puzzle and then going like having the iconic riff that goes through.
Oh yes, I think that's one. I think that's a great thing that Zelda has done, which surprisingly, you, you don't see in a lot of games now. But Nintendo at least when it comes to Zelda games, Nintendo knows how to make you feel like feel rewarded when you accomplish a puzzle. Because I definitely understand where you're coming from, Jack. Because I do remember that in general, when the one things I like playing Zelda games, especially for the first time, or replaying it after a long while, was trying to figure things out. And funny enough, now that you mention it, um, when I look at the competition, there's not a lot of games in which you go into a dungeon type area and the whole thing is to try to wrap your head around how to solve a solution based on only the tools that the game gives you. A lot of games that do that. Then for good reason. Those are very hard to design from a game designer's perspective.
And like, here's the thing: when it comes to the puzzles, it kind of also a little bit extends to the dungeons themselves because, of course, when you get an item, you'll start to see its need and use everywhere in the dungeon. Some, like the sequelitis people, they don't like that type of mentality where it's just like, oh, you got one item and that's gonna be the only thing. Like, sure, in some ways it could be limiting, but at the same
That
time,
reminds me. Do you guys actually want to see that old Eagle Raptor video of him comparing Link to the Past to Ocarina?
I do not want him to just.
Forgot about
I don't
that.
want to watch another video, another sequelitis of him going, but the 3D's too hard. I can't see behind the back of my head.
Oh
Yeah.
man, game growths have really destroyed his credibility with those videos.
Like, seriously, the oh, what's the object permanence that he has none. He has none. As soon as he stops looking at the item, it's gone from his mind, and then he blames the game for that. But
Oh, oh.
but anyways,
But
They were funny videos at least.
at the
yeah.
time, I don't know how well they hold up though,
True,
and
true.
especially now that it sounds kind of very pretentious to say, but I guess now that I have a better understanding, grasp of game design, I actually wonder if how many points are actually like, yeah, you got it right, or you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But but I definitely understand what you mean, and especially as a kid, because you guys gotta remember at the end of the day that Nintendo's main audience with these Zelda games are children, and there's nothing wrong
Mhm.
with that. And especially when a kid plays a Zelda game, that's like to them that's like, oh, they reached it's like they reach a new level in their in at least the way I saw it, it was they reach a new heightened sense in their gamer skill. At least, and I have a funny anecdote about a little anecdote to kind of drive my point. So many years ago, when my one of my little cousins had his own Wii, and I remember that because he saw me having a lot of fun with Twilight Princess, he decided to get the game as well. And now, to give it an idea, he is about 10 years younger than me. So at that time, he was very young. He was barely learning how to read. But I tried my best to encourage him. But man, oh man, just him trying to play Twilight Princess and all the reading he had to do, he could not handle it. He absolutely could not handle it. Never beaten the game, and it wasn't so many years later, like more like now, where he still plays games, but like he ain't playing games that require a lot of critical thought. Essentially, if he can hold down the right trigger and something happens, he'll play it.
Ah, I see.
And I say that because he admit that to me, not trying to make fun of him. He has said to me, he's like, "Look, I just like to play games that shoot. I can't play other games; they're just too much." It's like, all right, do what you do what you do, you man. At least you know what you're capable of.
Character says 2 sentences. All right, I'm done.
So now, especially all of us had our Zelda experience when we were very young. That sticks with us, and that sticks to how great Nintendo designs these games, that they're very rewarding, and that maybe once in a while they might design a puzzle that, okay, they went too far, but really, aside from the water temple, aside from that, is there any other dungeon in the Zelda games that have been like infamously hard?
No, and it's really
No,
only the 3D water temples that actually have that kind of difficulty.
and it's
Yeah.
not
So,
even like difficulty. It's just most of the times it's tedious because
yeah.
the water. It's either you have to swim through it or you're having to use the heavy boots to walk through.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
or
very.
if you end up forgetting to move a block and then have to go through all the way to the entire beginning of the dungeon, which I have done.
That's exactly so. So that just goes a testament to how much Nintendo improves with every game. And I actually want to go into what I enjoy about Zelda, and because I really thought about this, because the puzzles are great, and I love how the essentially are perfecting with every game that they make. To you guys' points, but I think one thing I also love about this series is that this even if you technically say they're making the same game, uh, Nintendo, at least when it comes with the developers making Zelda, when it comes to the mainline games, I should say, very rarely are any of them the same.
Yeah.
In terms of sometimes mechanics and sometimes of what is the, I guess, what is the gimmick? Because I mean, and they've been doing that since the first two games. Like, look at the original Legend of Zelda, and then look at Zelda 2, of how different that is. And that's what I actually like about these games. That even if you go for the 3D Zelda games, not one of them are you gonna get the same experience. Even if they actually look exactly alike, like with Ocarina and Majora's Mask, when they literally share the same assets, but you get two different Zelda experiences when you play those games. Am I right or am I right?
You are correct.
You are very right. I'm going against the grain.
And that's what I love, because I can't think of any other game series, especially that goes that long, in which let's imagine that if we're like in these meetings at Nintendo, like, all right, what do we do for this next game? Okay, for the next game, we're gonna get rid of the horse. Why? We're gonna be on a boat, and we're gonna go treasure hunting. Then after that, all right, we're gonna bring back the horse. Okay, but you can be a dog. Then the next game, we're gonna get rid of the dog, and we're gonna get rid of the horse, but we're gonna get you a bird, and you can finally use the sword, with your controller, when it's working. And then then in the next game, all right, we're gonna get rid of the horse, we're gonna get rid of the dog, we're gonna get rid of the boat. No, we're gonna get rid of the bird. We're gonna bring back the horse, but and we're gonna get rid of the hearts, and we're gonna get rid of the green tunic. And you know what? We're just get rid of everything and start over. And then that's how Breath of the Wild came to be.
No, it's literally just like, all right, okay, what about this new game? We get rid of everything else, except we keep the horse. We make it customizable. We make it customizable.
Exactly. And then now with Tears of the Kingdom, now this big gimmick is, all right, we're gonna go back to being the sky, but this time you can fuse items together, which I actually do like. Actually, it's a pretty fun mechanic.
You know, I
So,
want to see
and
a animation of Link going with looking at his bow, looking at the strongest weapon he has in his hand, and just goes, puts it together and literally just like starts shooting the sword like an arrow.
oh, that would be fun. And also, hello, Agaji, because we're talking about Zelda. We're talking about Zelda, our experience with it, things we liked about it, about the series, why it's successful, and a whole bunch of things. So you guys see my point, in that even if there's a Zelda game you don't like, at the very least you gotta give Nintendo credit that that they'll keep the fundamentals at its core, but they never try to make the same game twice.
Yeah.
Unless it's a remake, but that's kind of different. But they never try to make the same game twice. So, which comes up to now, I've seen a little bit of what Tears of the Kingdom is going to bring, and actually, are you guys aware of? I think until maybe recently, of what many people were complaining about for this new Zelda that's coming up in 2 days.
Yeah.
I am not aware. I don't think I know what we're talking about
Yeah.
right now.
What complaint?
So one, so com- so a one con complaint I've been hearing. Of course, it's all just Discord talk from people on social media, so take it with a huge grain of salt. One thing I've seen is that some people are being irate that that they're going to be paying $70 for a game that is Breath of the Wild again. And of course, number one, no one likes price hikes in games, but it's on an individual basis. It's on individual basis how much you're willing to spend on a game, because people are paying, especially with games that have like a lot of DLC or any type of those gotcha mechanics. You're already paying more than $70, pal. Even though the game is technically free. I'll tell you that much. So at least you're getting a full game until they release those DLCs. But the point is, so because of that, I kind of cleared people's perspective, and it definitely didn't help early on with a lot of the early trailers where it's still the map of Breath of the Wild, and so a lot of complaints were being like, you're charging more for the same game. Not only until actually recently that we actually got to see, okay, what is actually making the game different.
Yeah.
And then I think about, wait a minute, where have I seen this? Where a game mostly uses the same assets to from the last game in order and to make a different experience. Then I remember something. Oh yeah, Majora's Mask is what 75% the same assets from Ocarina of Time.
Yep.
And yet I'm just and I think to myself, and yet but people like Majora over Ocarina because it did something different. And despite the fact that Nintendo didn't create a lot of new assets, so then I look at the complaints now and I'm going, huh? It's just like how easy people forget. How easy people forget.
Here's my take. So, I understand at a certain extent the whole $70 price hike is not like, it's annoying, especially for the Nintendo Switch, since it's not a very
It's not a powerful system.
Yeah, it's not a powerful system. So most likely, if they do have some way that it's gonna be better looking than Breath of the Wild, it's not gonna be by a large margin.
Yeah.
And
not unless all those cards come with something to make it better, like what Nintendo used to do in the past.
exactly. Now, here is my rebuttal when it comes to the Switch. And only for the Switch. I can understand for games outside of the Switch, because it's kind of harder for me to defend it. With the Switch, you have this option. Get the Nintendo game voucher. Just get that. You want to know why? Sure, it costs $100 to get the voucher, but you can get 2 games. And I'm looking at right now what's eligible. Here's what's eligible. Well, there's gonna be a lot, but here's the main one. The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. You can get it with the game voucher. You can get that with the game voucher. I'm pretty sure people are gonna be buying a lot of other games too on the Switch. Some people want to buy the Kirby game. You can do that, the Kirby game and the Tears of the Kingdom, and there you go. You saved yourself pretty much $30 because you bought, and you don't have to even worry about the $70 price because the game vouchers are there.
How dare you provide a reasonable solution for customers?
How
I thought
dare
you were
I?
I thought you were a gamer.
How dare I be frugal with my own money?
And I would say this might kind of seem mean, but like if $70 is too steep for you to buy a game, maybe you should find a different hobby. Because games, at least major retail games, are they're
They're just
expensive.
gonna go up in price. It's something that is inevitable. It sucks.
Yeah, and of course there's always gonna be a plethora of other more reasonably priced games. Through things like Steam and occasionally sales on the digital markets of the consoles.
Yeah.
So really, it's a first world problem, like the most first world problem.
It really is.
And like the thing is that we're gonna have to end up realizing that they might end up getting a price hike eventually. Mostly because, for me personally, I think it's because of money not being spent in the right directions. But
I will rebut this. I will
Mm-hmm.
rebut this because Nintendo's the sole exception. Nintendo will do a price cut on their games when they feel like it.
Yeah, but at the same time,
and I'm not saying they're not going to. I'm just saying that by the time they do it, the next Zelda game would already be out.
and like here's the
Yeah.
thing, sometimes at a certain point, hell, it can be a game that's like 4 or 5 years old and they still have it for full price, which annoys the crap out of me. But at least we have the game voucher there. Because, I mean, hell, if I want to right now to be able to get caught up with the story, I don't even know if I have to get caught up with the story. I can get the game voucher and buy both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Now the only thing is, can we get a not a GoFundMe? What are those online petitions things? What are those called again? The
I
website?
completely forgot.
Kickstarter?
No, it's like an actual petition.
Oh, change.org.
We gotta go to change.org. We gotta get a Wii U port of Tears of the Kingdom all the hundreds and hundreds of Wii U of people who own Breath of the Wild on Wii U,
All I need from Nintendo is this. Give me my Paper Mario Thousand Year Door on the Switch. Give me my Twilight Princess on the Switch.
Actually, I'm surprised they haven't done that because they already have the HD version on Wii U, so I don't know why not put it on Switch. Wind Waker as well.
It annoys me because they always do this. They end up taking either forever or they just end up saying, no, we're not going to do that. And then they say, by the way, we're shutting down the server so you can't buy this anymore. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to go and get it from a certain website with abandonware. No, it's not abandonware. We still have it. It's ours. And if you try to live stream it right now, we'll take everything you own and 30% of your cut.
And the horse you came on.
Yeah.
Which is also our horse. That we exchanged with the dog.
Like seriously, Nintendo, just give me my stuff, please. I am willing to pay.
I actually wonder when it comes to Thousand Year Door. I wonder if there's any legal reasons they haven't ported that game.
I don't know, but I hope it's like
Because that's usually what I've come to learn that usually what it comes down to. If you ever wonder why isn't your favorite game from an older generation not in a newer console, 9 out of 10 the reason is because of copyright issues. That's
But-
9 out of 10. That's usually the reason.
But my question is, why Paper Mario? Because it's Mario. They would say it's
Well, here I can't speak on why the Thousand Year Door hasn't been ported, but to use another Nintendo example. So, is there anyone here familiar with what Mother is?
Yes,
yes.
quite
Okay.
familiar.
Is anyone familiar with the situation around Mother 3?
I am not.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So Mother 3 is essentially the last game in the Mother/Earthbound trilogy. And Nintendo's actually is fully aware that its audience wants Mother 3 to be localized, but it can't. And the problem is because Mother 3 actually sample real actually sample copyrighted songs. Now
Oh,
here and here's the thing. Well, how is that a big issue? The issue is that if Nintendo were to port Mother 3, essentially Nintendo would have to pay licenses to artists such as the Beatles, Queen, Chuck Berry, Elvis, the Rolling Stones, and etc. Big names in the music industry. And you can imagine how much money will cost just to play even a few seconds of a Beatles song. So
yeah.
imagine a game that's filled with nothing but samples of that type of music being released in America, in which all those songs are heavily protected under copyright.
Now here's my question for you, Hack. With no offense, because I'm trying to see, like, other than of course maybe just greed, but there are some people that like, let's say a certain artist is just like not alive anymore.
Mm-hmm. Like Elvis and Chuck
Like,
Berry.
let's say Martin Gaye, because we
Alright.
had the whole thing with like
Marvin Gaye.
Marvin Gaye. Sorry, we had that whole deal with like Ed Sheeran and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I'm aware of the case.
My man is already passed. He, rest his soul, he is already in the ground.
Yeah, but his family isn't.
I know, but like, why? The man worked himself and did the whole thing himself, or I wouldn't say the whole thing, but he made it like pretty much the songs. Why does his family have to have a say? And
Because by law, whatever because by
That's
law,
just copyright law. They just own it.
well, no, it's not copyright law. Is that whatever is that number one, whatever either assets or copyrighted material that you possess as the owner, you can willfully or not allow your family members to inherit it. And for most people with artists, because they made a fortune, they want their family to inherit that fortune, which includes all the material that they worked on.
okay, so
Yeah.
I guess
Because if not, then all that music is going to be 100% owned by a record company.
now actually
With
that would be a better example, because I was that was the only thing that was coming up to mind right now. But a better example is literally the guy didn't. Let's say a guy didn't have any person to give out the rights to their music, and it ended up to the record company. I know by law, since it's the record companies, they have every right to do whatever they want with the songs. I
Mhm.
just feel like it's wrong in a way. But I guess that's just how the cookie
then the
crumbles.
question would then the question would be what the question would be then would you want the music to be in the public domain?
To be honest, yes.
I mean that's a fair point. The only thing would be is that at the end of the day, the music industry is an industry, and they gotta make money, So if they can make money from the most popular music, if it goes in the public domain, then always the thing would be, we'll look for the next best talent, but only every once in a while do you get a Marvin Gaye, and even then maybe not. So I do see your point. I don't think the public domain is a great choice, mostly because then that actually oversaturates the material to the point that it almost becomes kind of like a parody of itself. So the value of said material is it doesn't have as much as cultural meaning.
The only problem I have is
The
like
only example I can give you of that is with the Wizard of Oz, because the Wizard of Oz, the original story is public domain, not the film, but the original story is public domain. But because of that, I see a lot of I'm not gonna call them hacky, but let's just say questionable comic writers make weird creative decisions of how they want to retell the Wizard of Oz. And I mean, Ryan, I think you're aware of one of them. Was called Battle Big Road. It looks nice,
Yeah.
but did it have to be Wizard of Oz?
No.
and
I've got it. I've never gotten around to reading it.
Like, I'm sure it's fine, but it's like at a certain point when do these important stories just start becoming parodies of each other because there's no one there to curate the quality control of these stories.
And I understand that, but
yeah. Now when it comes to music though, I don't think it'd be affected. It might be affected differently because there's already examples of public domain music, and that's like classical music. A lot of that is public domain, and there's nothing you can really do to dilute it. And there's tons of composers and artists who have done their spin or their effort to either recreate those classical songs as best they could from what they understand the composers, or they try to do something very new that's within their style. That's and so as a passion of the art, I could see music in public domain being used for that way. As for a business to make money, it's a harder sell.
oh yeah, I definitely agree with that. That's like the big reasons why it's like I mean, for me, still passion wins over the profit when it comes to music, but like
Yeah, but at the same time, like let's be
you gotta see the reality.
It's like this. If I want to hear since you use Marvin Gaye, what's his most famous songs? What was
literally that one song that was like the whole fight over.
Nah, I'm trying to think of one I actually like. What was it? Dang, I don't remember. But let's say "Let's Get It On." You know, one of his most well known love jams. You know, why would I hear someone's else interpretation of "Let It Get It On" instead of the original as it was intended? Not to say that there's not a market for someone else to do a really good cover, but you know, most people is very like think about this. How many covers do you guys listen to that would you say are superior to the original?
Not many. There's that
not
Johnny
many.
Cash
I got
one,
a few, but really,
yeah, but
it
doesn't. It's not. Let's just say it's not going to fill an entire playlist on your Spotify. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
And then
sometimes you gotta go out of your
superior.
way to even like look for them. That's the problem. You just gotta go out of your way to look for them.
Yeah. So, but I definitely understand, and I definitely understand. Although I don't think you should make art. I think art solely for passion. I think you should make art for passion, and if you get some money off of it. At the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with making money.
I'm just tired of the whole progression. Chord progression is like, oh, this one sounds similar. Like, well, no shit, it does. Just because like
that's why the Marvin Gaye estate lost that case.
I am glad. I am
I
so
only
glad.
wish George Harrison had such a victory when he got sued when he supposedly ripped off another group's song.
And
Good
like
lord.
I am glad that Ed Sheeran had the foresight to not explain it in terms of music, but just literally do it. Because I mean, yeah, I understand as a musician the yeah, it's gonna sound the same because maybe it's this way or that way, but
And yeah, and it's
not
also
everyone wants to hear that.
and and also there's only so many ways you can make 12 notes sound unique
Exactly.
and and arrange them together to make them sound pleasing.
Exactly.
It's, that actually reminds me. We'll go back to talking Zelda, but actually remind me. Last night I was attending my little brother's concert, and one of the songs they played, my mother came to me. She turned to me. She says, "That sounds like Beauty and the Beast." And I listened to it, and I figured out what the Beast song she was talking about. It was uh, is it, trying to remember, what was the title? It's not Be Our Guest. It's not that. It's the
Is it the
it's that
one where
song that
they
plays
do the waltz?
during the montage as Belle and the Beast are starting to get more along.
Oh,
Oh
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. If I had to sing it melodically, it's like ba dum bum 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 ba dum bum 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 bum. That melody. And in the song that my brother was playing, it had a very similar melody. It didn't help; it was in the same key. But I was actually more impressed that my mother even remembered something like that. I don't think she's remembered Beauty and the Beast in years. So if anything, I was more surprised that she remembers that. All right, going back to Zelda. Okay. Here's one thing. So out of everything, because out of everything that every Zelda game has mostly achieved, I think, without any shadow of a doubt, that you'll always find one song in the Zelda canon, and I'm saying canon in the musical sense, that is just right up there, S tier. One of the best things ever written. And all credit to Koji Kondo for composing all these music tracks for the games for years. So, Jack, is there any particular Zelda track from any of the games you played, or maybe you haven't played, or that you find yourself listening to repeatedly,
So
because you enjoy it that much?
so for me, I mean, it could be a little bit of a sorry. It could be a little bit of a nostalgia and bias, but I liked both the Song of Healing and the Song of Storms. Those are my favorite. Those two, I play them so much. I have remixes of the Song of Storms, and I just like anything that has the motif of the Song of Healing.
Yeah, no, those are both pretty excellent.
I know they're pretty good. I forget Majora's Mask also ones that's hard for me to get into, so I don't remember the Song of Healing that well. But the Song of Storms, I just like. I mostly find it memorable because it is a memorable melody, but because of the association with the quest you do in Ocarina, and I always just remember how pissed off I made that guy
Well, he pissed
when you play
himself
this.
off.
I know, but I remember his face, and it makes me laugh so much that somehow like she could just stop playing at any point, but no, he plays a song for years and then gets pissed that the kid plays it and Link plays it, and I honestly kind of forget why was he pissed at
Oh,
Link.
because it messed with the windmill.
That's because he messed with the windmill. Oh man,
Now to
yeah. What?
but here's the thing. What about for me? One that kind of broadened my musical taste a bit when it came to the Zelda songs was the Dragon Roost theme, or at least the town that you go into.
Yes.
Oh yes, Wind Waker has some solid tracks, but the Dragon Roost one is definitely high among it in that game.
Very much so.
I actually like the title screen of Wind Waker, and I remember actually before I even started the game, I just let the title screen play out because I actually want to hear more of the music because I really liked it.
That is
And
required whenever you play Wind Waker.
now Ryan, what piece of Zelda music have you found that you resonate with a lot?
Fairy Fountain, the Fairy Fountain theme. It's,
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. And that's and funny enough, that's a track that's been going on since the original game.
Yeah, no kidding.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just fantastic. It's incredibly calming. It's just
Hmm.
so nice.
Yeah, and especially when you have like either later on or when you see people kind of play it. I always love it when they try to do when they make a bit more like a ballad, and they just add a bit more of the reverb, so you can actually feel that calming sensation ring throughout the song as the main melody is playing. Love the fairy fountain. I love the fairy fountain. The fairies themselves, I can take or leave though.
That sound the pronunciation was a bit off, but yes, I heard furry fountain just because I was like messing around with a water bottle.
the fairy
The furry
fountain.
fountain.
I'm sure. You know what? You know what? I'm sure there's some deep lore about a furry fountain in one of the games. I don't know where, but probably there's somewhere. All right. So as for me, okay. So you guys picked some good ones, but I think one of the best tracks of the series in general would have to be the Gerudo Valley theme.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. I like that one.
Favorite when I was in high
I'm
school.
I'm I think for me, I'm just a sucker for like flamenco guitar.
I mean, true.
It's
They
in your
didn't
blood.
have to go that hard whenever they made it, but they did.
No, they didn't have to go that hard, but they did.
It's so
And
good.
just and it's actually a very hard piece to play if you've actually ever tried.
Yes,
I
I
It's
know.
a
I don't play instruments, so
well, I mean, well, just hearing it, you can already tell how hard it is. But it's a piece that requires a lot of focus and concentration, and it's amazing that they're able to fit a song that complicated onto the N64 hard drive, considering how limited that hard drive was in that console.
yeah.
Or I guess RAM space would be more appropriate. So that for me, I love the Gerudo Valley, and any remix of Gerudo Valley I've heard of has always been great, especially in Smash Brothers. Love it.
Actually,
Uh,
uh,
mhm.
to add, this will actually be my very top because I kind of forgot for a second until I remembered the fact that this is the one song that I ended up having to like literally stop playing the game and search it up. And
Ooh.
it stayed with me for quite a while. So it was Midna's Lament.
Ah,
That one.
that's a good one.
I'm a
That's
sucker for piano, especially for a very slow
very
melodic piano.
and very solemn too.
It is very solemn, but it's like almost bittersweet, but you can definitely tell it makes you feel like, okay, I gotta get this girl out of here quick.
Yeah, it's a great song that improves the story moment that happens when that song plays. Don't my The only complaint I have with that section is that unfortunately, because there's enemies arrive, the battle music interrupts the beautiful piano ballad, and so
Yeah.
it's like, oh, just get away from me. Obviously I want to survive, but like play it back to piano music. I've heard this battle music hundreds of times already. I don't need to hear it again.
Damn,
Mhm.
if you were as good as me, I didn't have to hear the
Oh,
battle music at all.
well, I'm not as good as you. Is that what you want to hear? Good for you. You were better than when I played the game when I was 10.
No, I ended up going all around the edge.
You took the long way.
I took the long way, and it's worth it because I wanted to hear the music.
Yeah, I took the short way because it was the short way, but also because it felt very dramatic tension. Had
Ah,
tension.
yes. Me. I'm sorry, Midna. But This
We
music is
gotta
a
take the
bop.
scenic. I was like, I know you're dying, but we gotta take the scenic route. Your music's lit right now. That's the kid saying. All right, so I actually want to do so. I actually want to do one final thing. 'Cause I actually do want a video I want us to see, because I can go on about the music of Zelda. I love its music, and I and for me, if to me it's about equal to about a lot of of music from Sonic, where it's the type of music that I will listen to on a daily basis of when it comes to video game video game tracks. Because for me, there is actually because for me, I don't listen to a lot of video game OSTs, at least not like in the way that people mean about it. But the few ones that I actually do bother to listen to a lot are usually either from a Sonic game or from a Zelda game. And so I actually want to play with you guys, and the good part is we don't have to actually talk at all, because I actually want to just enjoy this performance. Hopefully we don't get copyright. Blah, 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 blah. If we do, then if I do get like that copyright notice, we'll stop it. But I'll take a risk here. I'll take a risk. So, do any of you are aware of something of called Symphony of the Goddess?
I
Yes.
feel like I have, yeah.
So like almost 10 years ago, there's in celebration for Zelda's 25th anniversary, Nintendo did for a few years actually, for many years, they were doing concert tours where they have live orchestras playing music from the games. I was fortunate to actually be able to attend one when it came by our city, and obviously it was great to hear all of these fantastic tunes live with the symphonic instruments. And one thing that I also want to mention was that if you ever got the original Skyward Sword, one thing that original game had um, was that it had a bonus CD in which you can actually hear a recorded performance of the symphony on CD. And I would listen to that all the time during my high school years, all the time. And so a lot of now, unfortunately, I still have the CD. Hopefully, it still works, but I haven't popped that sucker in quite a long time. But back then, I used to listen to that almost religiously, to use a phrase. So I went to actually watch just one performance. It's of the symphony that I found. Fortunately, I couldn't find one with a better video quality, because it is from like over 10 years ago, and I don't think, and Nintendo Nintendo, even their YouTube videos wasn't in HD even back then on their videos. But I just wanted to show this here. It's only about 5 minutes long, and just enjoy and just want all of us to just enjoy the show. So let me go ahead. For this one, Jack got to do a share screen on this one. I won't be
Gotcha.
able to do a. It won't work well if we try to all three of us try to coordinate the video. So let me go. Here we go. All right. So I'm sharing it on the Discord. So Jack. So hopefully, let me know if it's presentable in the actual stream.
It is presenting.
All right then. Ryan, can you see the YouTube video?
I can.
All right, gonna be playing in 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, and at the time, Skyward Sword was the newest Zelda game released.
Ah, yes, the tuning phase.
You got a tune, man.
I gotta love the distorted tuning.
was beautiful.
Quite. I love orchestral versions of just any like classic video game song.
Oh, I was giving me goosebumps, man. I was giving me goosebumps.
Dude, that's how I feel when I listen to the Dragon Quest soundtrack.
Oh, Jack, were you getting goosebumps? I was getting goosebumps.
I was just thinking of if they played, it would mean me the world if they were playing a Wind Waker song that they have the conductor wear a Link costume.
And does he have the Wind Waker itself?
It has the Wind Waker wand specifically. I'm like, oh, that would be amazing.
Oh, about it. I I remember being so floored when I saw the live performance that, as all musicians get their real money, when I went to get the merch instead of a T-shirt or whatever, I was like, nah, give me the songbook. Which was luckily the entire all the songs that the symphony played was transcribed into a songbook for piano. So if you know how to read music and can play piano, that's something I don't know if it's something you can easily get, but if you can look for it, you can learn how to play at least the symphonic versions of those songs, at least the main melodies and so forth. But I gotta start using it more. Using it more though, because it's just pretty much just collecting dust right next to my Hyrule Historia to the point I kind of forgot I even had it at some point.
Send me PDF copies if you can. I'm not lying. Just like I want to try my hand in it.
That's too much. That's too much work. I gotta be scanning all. I'm gonna be about stuck with my printer all day, just scanning paper.
Yeah, you can do it with
work.
your phone. Not even joking. You can. But one day,
Well,
whenever I visit
to give you like a well, I take a picture of the page and just read it from there.
No, like one day when I visit you, it'll make sense how I can do it.
Okay.
But man, I always give props to the orchestral people because like especially the first seats on any of the instruments. It makes me feel nervous just looking, just like being around them because I know that they have like a very big part whenever it comes because their first seat they have a very big part.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess kind of having that same empathy or like sympathizing with the fact that they got there because of their hard work. I know that for sure. And it's amazing to see them play, especially whenever I saw the Final Fantasy Symphony or orchestra come into town.
I saw that as well. I very much enjoyed it too. What was it? I have a very unique perspective because since I was a band student through all my life during my public education, so when I look at that, I pretty much I still have the same reverence because they did work hard, very hard, to get where the people got there and their music careers. At the same, but in the back of my head, I'm also going, okay, who's the fuck up? Who's the one that came in too early? Or like, who's the one? Or I was like, okay, which is the guy? Is like, which is the one that has for some reason has trouble playing piano? Which if you don't know, that means not literal piano. It means to play softly.
Like literally, I remember one time. This was at church, like at a different church, when I used to go there, and because of the whole the whole musical ear, you can hear sometimes who messes up and who doesn't.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I remember this very vividly. The drummer was the one that made a hiccup, and it wasn't even that big. Like it was perfect recovery. Like you just heard the beat go a half beat early or late, and it's up there. He is. and you see that the beat go like half. I think it was either half early or half late. And I knew that he messed up. His bandmates knew he messed up because they all, the stupid grin, the stupid grin you get when.
Yeah, it's hard not. It's hard to not to like even the most professional musicians. Like a very more historical example is if if you guys ever see the kind of the live performance the Beatles did of their song Revolution, at one point, the lead guitarist George Harrison, he looks over to Paul McCartney, and you don't hear him, but you can hear him mouth the words, "John's mic sounds like shit," as John Lennon is singing the song. So it's those little moments I always look for. But when it comes to the professional orchestra, honestly, that type of stuff rarely happens. Everyone's very professional. They're at such a high level of musicianship that I guarantee you that those people you saw in the video of them play the music, I guarantee you that was they saw that music for the first time that day.
Yeah. Like
Because sight reading is a great skill to learn if you want to make it into the orchestra.
God damn, that sight reading is amazing when I see it in action.
Oh yeah. And if that orchestra didn't have that music the first day, all those people were given the music like 2 or 3 days ago, and so they had like at least a little and all that time to practice. And when they entered that studio, there was no rehearsal. They played a bit, but then hit record, and bam, magic happened. Which I'm always astonished with that type of skill level. You know, I guess you know what to relate to your Ryan. That's it. That's if I had to put to more of an illustrator type of comparison, that's like someone that's like someone going straight for the inks without going for the pencil,
yeah.
and it still comes out great.
God, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that so bad.
Dude,
We're in the same boat
I mean,
with the whole sight reading thing.
You can reach there, Ryan. It takes a lot of hard work.
Yeah, it's a lot of practice, and you have to practice specifically doing that for a long time.
But I believe in you. I have the heart of the cards. So we're yes, Jack.
Speaking of the harder cards, when will we do something about like the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff that we were planning to do?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because we're coming in now into the conclusion end of the stream. So first off, Ryan, thank you very much for being a great guest on here. We're gonna be closing things off. You're more welcome to hang out, but if you gotta go or if you gotta head out, feel free to do so. Because Jack and I are just gonna be doing some closing announcements. So,
all right, cool.
But thank you, Ryan.
So much for
thank you
coming.
for giving. Yeah, thank you for giving your time and input for this week's episode. Always glad to have you on.
Yeah, no, it was fun. All right.
All right.
Peace.
Yeah.
See ya.
All right. All right. So here's a few things I want to announce. Yes, we will do that eventual Yu-Gi-Oh tournament stream. I need to go back into, just like how Jack needed 3 weeks to relearn how to play King of Fighters, I probably need my 3 weeks to reacclimate with Yu-Gi-Oh.
Hell,
So
I haven't even started my second week.
Oh, good lord. Well, unfortunately, we put on a timetable, So, we're jumping ahead to announcements. Be excited for the next episode, because that will be the return of Fight Night. With Fight Night, what number are we? This is what, 6, 7. Which Fight Night? We'll figure. You'll learn when the episode comes. But another Fight Night where Jack and I, plus with a few others, will be scoring each other off in King of Fighters 15. So be excited not only for that, but Jack, this is a world premiere announcement.
Oh,
Because I haven't told you about this. I've been working some stuff behind the scenes. That next episode, I will also be debuting some brand new art of our girls, Alex and Millie.
ooh.
And it's gonna be from an artist all of us familiar with the HAC JAC Show will be intimately familiar with. So be excited for that, not just for the Fight Night, but more Alex and Millie Maximilian art because by God, I would at this at this point I spend more money on them than actual women. So so be excited for that, and assuming nothing is gonna come in our way, it will be next Wednesday at the same Hack Jack time and same Hack Jack channel. So until then, though, Jack, you have anything to announce until the next episode of the Hack Jack Show?
Of course, for this past week, I've been taking a quick vacation. Mostly it's to edit some videos and to finish up. Can you believe I still have to do a report even though I finished my college classes?
Yeah, I can believe that. If it's true for high school, if it's true for high school, then it can be true for college.
So it's due tomorrow. I think I'm gonna end up saying, in a very nice way, screw my group member. I'm going to do the final report myself, just so I can get it out of the way, because I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this tomorrow in the middle of work. That's why I've been kind of like not. I mean, yeah, I've been playing a few games, but I haven't even touched King of Fighters.
Well,
Other
yeah,
than that,
yeah. Well, you have 7 days, so better.
don't be saying
Yes.
that as soon as I watched Marty playing the freaking ring girl on Dead by Daylight. 7 days. 7 days.
Oh man. Well. The good thing is though, to put less stress, nothing's gonna be on the line. It's gonna be nice, clean fights. So you're not gonna be punished and play some crappy video game that's gonna ruin your perception of your life.
Oh no. I know whenever it comes to fighting games to never like have it judge your life or the game itself, because if I didn't put the time, that is my own damn fault, and that is the reason why I'm gonna get my ass kicked in.
You know what you could do? You can use this time instead of trying like to do a viable strategy. Just take time every day just to learn Angel combos, and that's
Yes.
your training.
The only character. I'll
Just
only.
Angel, and then just 2 other randos you don't care about. It's
I
like,
swear to
nah,
God, like I seen that there's actual strategy when it comes to the positioning of your characters, and they're like, oh yeah, Angel, put her in the front because she is useless whenever you get Mire. Everyone gets Mire, you're gonna have a tough time trying to get in.
So there you go. Be looking forward to that. Hopefully next Wednesday.
One woman army.
Hey, she's playing what we're talking about. Now, as for my of course not of course I'm still not back yet into doing regular streams, and my video projects are still far off from being nearly completed. However, I am proud to announce, Jack, I finally invested. Guess what? I finally have invested in some noise-proof of foam.
Hell yeah! Now we're both buddies when it comes to the whole noise suppression foam.
Exactly. So I'm getting up there. I'm becoming more professional by the second. Now I need a better table probably a longer table.
Just be careful with how you put it up on the walls.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. But on a more serious announcement, I am planning on. There is a YouTube short I am still planning on. The script is fully written. I just had to corroborate some information about it because I don't want to be caught lying accidentally. And Jack, to make a stupidly long story short, I said I taught this before, so reiterate or refresh your memory. I ordered a comic because not the story itself, but like the ad pages in the comic has information and I need. I even went so far as to pay extra in order to have it shipped much earlier. Come to learn that it did arrive at my complex, but it did not actually go into the parcel lockers because all of them were full, and the leasing office decided, it's like, hey, okay, let's take all these packages out so the lockers are not full, and let's not let the people with these packages know they're ready to pick up. And so I had
Oh
to find
no.
out, and so I had to call in the office and ask him, hey, where's my package? They they check. It's like, no, there's no package in the lockers. I'm like, huh? Then I look at USPS, the United States Postal Service, and their tracking history, and it literally states put in locker on May 5th at 12:30 p.m. So I was at work during that time of the day. So so according to USPS, they did drop it off, and I was eventually going to call USPS to see what's up. But you know what? Let me call my leasing office again. And then when I actually told them when it's supposed to arrive, that's when they, oh yeah, we remember we took all the packages out of the lockers because it was full. Oh, and we see your packages now. It's actually in the office. So stop by the office if you want to get your package, which they failed
Wow.
to inform me initially.
How? Okay, that's that's dumb.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now I am thinking, you know what? Next time I order and not an Amazon package, I am I am now just like, you know what? Just have it delivered to my parents' address. Because the very least, I can either pick it up there or they can give it to me instead of
Man,
having to deal with this nonsense.
even with the Amazon packages, I think by this point you might have to invest in looking at the Amazon lockers.
Well, I've already been doing it for any. The only times I don't do that is with like common everyday items, but like with the phone stuff, I mean, I don't see how anyone would want to steal that. But it's a pricey item, and any of the stuff I got that's a bit pricey, I'm like, no, don't leave it on my doorstep. I'm gonna go pick it up at those lockers. So those lockers have been very helpful.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, unfortunately, regular mail does not have. Well, it technically does have that luxury, except it's not. Except it's not free, and it's called a PO box. And you got to go to the postal office to do those.
Oh yeah, and even
And you
then
got
it's
and you
not
get
guaranteed.
yeah, and you got to pay a monthly fee,
That's
which
the
I guess
funny
you already
thing.
do for which you got to do for Amazon Prime. But I don't think the lockers are a Prime exclusive thing, right? I think anyone can use them.
I don't think they are. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure they're not.
yeah. Yeah. In any case, that's all we have to announce. So thank you everyone for joining on this wonderful 150 second episode of the Hack Jack Show, and hope you enjoyed all of the Zelda talk that we had, because it will probably be another 152 episodes till we talk about Zelda again in any meaningful way. Because unfortunately, I am not in a position to even play Tears of the Kingdom, and I haven't even beaten Breath of the Wild, so it's gonna be a while till I even touch that game.
Well, there
I'll
you
probably
have it.
I'll probably play it when it's discounted at a used at a GameStop from $70 to $65.
Hell, I might go ahead and buy both. Again, well, I never asked the proper question. Do I need to know
Yo,
Breath of the Wild to play Tears?
yes,
Okay then.
it's because Tears of the Kingdom is a direct sequel.
Damn, I knew that was gonna happen. But all
I
right.
mean, you can always just look up the story stuff online if you don't want to go through a big old game. But yes, it's but it's an actual. Huh, funny. It's been a long time since Zelda done this. It's actually a direct sequel. Um, but not in the way Majora was, where you kind of don't need to know what happened in Ocarina.
Well,
No,
isn't
Tears of
this
the Kingdom.
technically a canon? Well, like I know the other ones they're sequels because of the timeline that they started. But isn't this an official sequel? The first one?
I mean, it's in the sequel in the way Zelda 2 is a sequel.
Is that an actual sequel to Zelda 1?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Never mind then.
That's why it's called Zelda 2.
Well, hey,
It's funny. And what's funny? Oh, and what's funny? It's not even called The Legend of Zelda 2. It's just called Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link.
yep.
It's the only one of the games that doesn't have the Legend of. It's
Oh,
funny.
and it was an adventure, all right. I
Yeah,
saw what Link did. Dirty boy.
Adventure and Miles. Anyways. All right, that's enough. Go ahead. Turn off the stream, Jack.
All right. As always, thank you everyone so much for coming by. And of course, if you want to see what's happening with the official Hack Jack show, you just go at official Hack Jack for our Twitter page. And if you want to see what I'm doing, not just for the Hack Jack show, but also for the Twitch side and TikTok, go to at JustJackVT. I'm starting to try to put my TikTok videos on Twitter as well, just to kind of get more
Get more eyeballs.
Yep, get more eyeballs onto it. And of course, with TikTok, go to official Just Jack to see what we're doing there. I got all the TikTok videos there, and soon I'll be adding them back to the YouTube Shorts. It's just I keep forgetting to do it.
And Jack is very close to starting his Genshin Impact live streams. Let's go.
Not gonna lie, I'm tempted to do the Honkai Star Rail thing to see if I can get lucky with the rolls.
Isn't that like that action game that flagrantly steals Bayonetta's moves?
I don't know, but I mean, I think Genshin Impact was the one that did that.
No, Genshin Impact flagrantly stole ideas from Breath of the Wild.
But it also stole DVD, not DVD, the 2B's moves. Like literally, some of like the animations were ripped off of 2B's.
No, Jack. It was inspired.
Sure.
Inspired. All right, guys. Thank you for watching.
The Honkai Star Rail is not official. It's not official.
You're not official.
I'm not official. It's just Jack. I'm not official. But all right. Oh, and of course, as always, thank you to Raendzel for being here. And the guest Twitter for him is at Raendzel. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm. Cool guy. You should watch. You should eat his treats when he's drunk.
Exactly. But thank you everyone so much for being here. Truly appreciate it. And this is Hack and Jack signing off. Okay, no peace, Diane.
What?
All right.